Ladies and gentlemen, it's your man Andre Rocks, aka Shegun Abu, the American refugee. And yesterday, I don't know, out of boredom or curiosity, I had the opportunity to look over a lot of the comments on a lot of the videos that you all have been sharing regarding my arrest. A lot of, you guys have been doing a lot of commentary videos, hundreds of thousands of views, tens of thousands of responses. So there are a few things I want to address. First and foremost, thank you. There is so much encouragement and back patting, I guess is the best thing to say there. And it really is encouraging to me that so many of you have expressed your support. It really, when you're fighting against the system and you're fighting against the norm, sometimes you do feel like, you're all alone in the fight. That being said, just seeing how much love and support I've been getting from a lot of you, it's just incredible, and thank you very much for that. Excuse me, I'm yawning, it's a little late at night here. There are a few things that I want to address, some recurring themes that have kept coming up in a lot of the comments. I want to start by saying this: I am not an auditor. Everybody keeps calling me an auditor. I am not an auditor. I do not go out and intentionally look for these types of situations as I have seen many auditors do. When I was in the United States of America, I did my best to avoid any type of interactions with police officers. I did not want trouble, but I did know my rights, and if they brought those issues to me, I would stand up and defend my rights. But I am not an auditor in the sense that you all have put it out there. I'm not out there auditing police. This was just me standing up for my rights in that situation. I turned the video camera on to protect my rights. The second thing I want to address is some of the comments about my father. And those, unfortunately, have been very discouraging. My father is not a punk. He's not a bitch or whatever you all have been calling him. My father is a father. And he's a black man that grew up in the 1960s in Philadelphia. He has watched people stand up to police officers and die. He's also a 26-year combat veteran of the United States military, serving in not one but two foreign conflicts. He's no punk. Very simply put, he saw a situation in which his son's life was in danger, and he reacted in a way to protect his son, his life. I know a lot of you think about, oh, we have to protect our rights. My father was thinking of protecting his son's life, because rights don't do you very much good in a coffin. So though I disagreed with my father, do not disrespect my father. He did what any father would do. I have a 10-year-old son, and let me tell you something. If I was sitting in that driver's seat and it was a choice between my son giving up the minor right of identifying himself or getting put in a coffin, I'd do the exact same thing that my father did, because I want my son to come home at night. I understand exactly why my father did what he did. And anybody who is disrespecting my father, you're a bitch. I'm just gonna put it like that. You're a bitch. On a lighter note, one of the recurring things that was coming up was my garb. People kept saying, oh, he looks kind of crazy in the African garb. I think that many of you do not know that I actually live in Africa now. In 2019, I was contacted by More Plus Multimedia. Many of you know that I am a musician, and I was contacted to do a 6-country tour in West Africa. We did Ghana, Togo, Benin, Nigeria, Liberia. Where else did we go? Ivory Coast. During that tour, I decided that I was going to stay in West Africa. So I am here now in my home in Kasoa, Ghana. So when I did that video, that update video, which was at the end of Lackluster's video, I was actually broadcasting from Ghana, which means that me wearing African garb was completely appropriate for the environment that I live in. That's where I live, and that's what we wear here. So yeah, people think I was trying to make some sort of statement with the African garb. No, I just live in Africa. Final issue I want to address, and I think this is probably the most pressing issue, is many of you were upset because I brought up the issue of race. Many of you said that this was not a racially motivated issue, and then of course many of the African American commenters could clearly see that it was at least in part racially motivated, and there were some fights that broke out and things like that. Not fights, but I mean arguments on YouTube that broke out and things like that. And I always try to see things from the perspective of the other person. Even if I disagree, I always try to see what their perspective is. And I realized something, and I'm hoping that this video may shine some light on why I said what I said, and possibly change the way you, and when I say you, I'm specifically addressing my Caucasian listeners out there, may change the way you perceive some things. Number one, I think that one disservice is that most of the videos that are being shared by different organizations and different YouTube channels are not sharing the full interaction. And I understand why. You guys are, giving your own commentary and all of that. So you're picking the things that you want to show. If you'll notice throughout the entire interaction with the police, race was never mentioned. But if you watch the entire interaction with the police, you'll notice that after I got out of I was put into the police car, one officer approaches my father and completely unsolicited, at no point had anyone mentioned race at all. He begins to talk about race with my father and the racial makeup of Pasco County. Hey, this is an all-white area, and but we still have a good, but it looks suspicious when a black man is driving in an all-white area, but we have a good relationship with the black community. The fact that that officer even brought up race shows that race was on his mind the entire time. But even more pressing than that, I realized that whites and blacks experience America very differently. Therefore, we have very different perspectives. I have to use a metaphor here, or an analogy rather. When I was young, I used to play basketball like every day, street ball every day. And I had a friend who had this move. It was a spinning crossover stutter step. And when he first came up with this move, he would get me with it every time. I knew that if I just stepped to the left, I could block that move. But by the time it registered in my brain to step to the left, he was already past me throwing the layup. He would get me with that for about 6 months straight. And then I started to recognize small nuances that would indicate to me that he was about to hit that move. And I got better and better at shutting that move down, to the point where he couldn't even hit the move on me anymore. because I could see something at first when I'm looking mainly at the broad picture. Watch his hips, watch his shoulders. I'm looking at the broad picture. I couldn't see. But because I saw it over and over and over again, I might see the twitch in his eye, the slight movement of the knee, the smaller indicators that showed me that he was about to hit that move. Growing up in the United States of America, since the age of 12, I and many young black men have been racially profiled. I can remember times where I was walking home with a group of my friends of all races and being stopped and having the cops empty my bag with all of my friends watching. Those incidents did not stop happening. I've been stopped and arrested for stealing my own car. I have been stopped numerous times for looking suspicious, which means, hey, you're in a white neighborhood at the wrong time of day. I have been beaten by police officers and harassed by police officers. I have fit the description of a 6'2" black man with an afro. For those of you that know me, I'm 5'9". I have fit the description of pretty much any black man who has ever committed a crime. I have fit the description on so many occasions I've lost count, been harassed, pulled up. The nuances that we notice as blacks having dealt with the issue of racism in the United States for so long. As whites, you may not notice them because, just using my analogy again, this is the first time they hit that move on you. So you're always looking for the big racism. You're looking at the hips and the shoulders. You're looking for the big indicators. Somebody calling somebody a nigger. Somebody making a racial slur. But because we've seen these issues for so long, we understand the nuances. We understand that the police dog being called out to sniff the car was a direct result of 3 black men riding in a car. There must be drugs. We understand the look that the police officer gave me in seeing a black man asserting his rights. This is evidenced by, I know one of the major channels that shared this was Lackluster. I want you to go back and look at some of the auditors who are speaking to the cops much more harshly and much more belligerently than I am, who walk away from the situation. Who don't go to jail. I want you to look at how many ID refusals by white men result in the officer being pissed off but walking away. Tim Wise pointed out that in 1963, I think it was People magazine, don't quote me on that, but you can see Tim Wise, his report on this. In 1963, People magazine ran a survey and asked thousands of whites if they felt that blacks were treated equally in the United States of America. And the overwhelming majority of the whites said yes. In 1963, before fair housing, before equal education, before the end of segregation, before even the Civil Rights Act of 1964, whites felt that blacks were treated equally in the United States of America. Now, I refuse to believe that all of those whites who answered that question were bigots or something like that. I believe that they did not have the black experience in the United States of America. They were blind to the experience of blacks. They had no knowledge of the inequality that blacks suffered, so they could not answer that question in any other way. I'm saying that to say that if you're white in the United States of America, please take the time to listen to us. We have an experience that is different than yours, and that gives us a perspective that is different than yours. When we say that something is racially motivated, don't be so quick to dismiss that. Ask us why we believe it was racially motivated, and take the time to truly evaluate the nuance. Don't just be dismissive because, in all honesty, speaking of racial issues is uncomfortable for you, and it would be much easier if you could believe that we were in a post-racial society. Every generation throughout the history of the United States, believed that they were in a post-racial society. In the 1930s, after A. Philip Randolph initiated the first March on Washington, whites generally believed that they were in a post-racial society. This is at a time where Emmett Till and all of these different people were being slaughtered. In the 1960s, most whites rebelled against Martin Luther King. Yet he was not a beloved figure like he is now, because most whites believed that they were in a post-racial society. In 2021, as blacks are telling you that there is a racial issue in America, you're coming back to us with the same statements. Please take a moment to actually listen to us, to consider our experiences. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, I really appreciate all of the love and support that you all have given me. It's been incredible. So thank you all. I will continue to fight this case. I will continue to fight for all of my brothers and sisters of every race back in the United States, and the rights of everyone. I'm not coming back. I'm enjoying Africa too much, but I'll continue to fight this case. I won't settle for anything less than justice, and justice that will be long lasting, long beyond my case. That's all I got to say, ladies and gentlemen. Till next time, peace and blessings. I'm out.